play, pause, repeat. So throughout, obviously just pause the video and write down the answers to my questions. So the first question is, can you define demand? Pause. Okay, so hopefully you've got that demand is the quantity of a good or a service a consumer is willing and able, okay, they're the key terms you need to use in your definition, willing and able to buy at each and every price level. Second question, can you draw a demand curve, please? Pause. So you should have drawn a diagram like this, and obviously from that you can tell that there is a negative or inverse relationship between price and demand. So as price goes up, demand decreases, and vice versa. The specification requires you to know the 3 reasons why that is the case. Okay, so why is there an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded? 3 reasons. Pause. Okay, so you should have law of diminishing marginal utility. So if you can recall what utility is the satisfaction you derive from the consumption of a good or a service. So the idea here is that as you consume more of a product, your utility, the satisfaction you get from it, will decrease, and therefore you won't be willing to pay as much. So the price you'll be willing to pay decreases as you consume more. The income effect, so the assumption here is that incomes are fixed. So as prices rise, the quantity demand will decrease because an individual's purchasing power, the amount they consume, will decrease. Okay, so for example, if someone's weekly income was £10, for example, and the price of a product was £2, they would obviously be able to buy 5 units. Okay, but if the price of the product went up to £2.50, they would obviously consume less. They'd only be able to consume 4 units of the product, so demand decreases. And the final one is the substitution effect. The substitution effect is that if the price of a substitute remains constant, if the price of a product like an Xbox, so if we're talking about the market for Xbox, if the price of it increased, for example, from A to B, 12 to 16, you would see a decrease in demand as people would move and consume the substitute that might be the PS4 if that price remained constant. Okay. Next question is 2-part. So what is the movement up a demand curve caused by an increase in price, and what is a movement down a demand curve called? Pause. So hopefully you've got an increase in the price is what you call a contraction in demand, and a decrease in price is what you call an expansion in demand. So the next question is, what causes shifts in a demand curve? Pause. So hopefully you've got that they're caused by non-price determinants of demand. So for example, at £12, what would cause the quantity to rise from 80, like it is there, out to say 100, or into 60 at £12? So see if you can remember, the acronym obviously is Pacific. See if you can recall what Pacific stands for. Pause. So hopefully you've got population, advertising, price of substitute, income, fashion and trends, interest rates, and the price of complementary goods. 3 ones I want you to pick up on here. Substitute goods. So for demand to shift outwards, the price of the substitute will go up. Okay, always remember there's a positive relationship between the substitute goods. So if the price of the substitute good goes up, the demand will shift outwards, and vice versa. Income, the assumption, if it's a normal good, is that as income rises, demand will shift outwards. But if it's an inferior good, so you have to be careful. If it's an inferior good, if income rises, the demand will shift inwards. Okay, it will decrease. And the final one to pick up upon is price of complementary goods. So they have got a negative relationship. So if the price of a complementary good in the question goes up, the demand will decrease for the product we're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to let the video run for a few seconds. You can obviously now screenshot everything here, so you have everything for demand in one place. and obviously you can repeat the video and try and answer all the questions correctly if you didn't get them right this time.